and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Friday, 10 minutes before noon. The motorcade begins the 11-mile ride to the Dallas Trade Mart, where the president is to deliver a major address. Governor and Mrs. Connally ride in the presidential limousine.
The reason for the trip was maximum visibility and maximum exposure because they wanted as many people to be up close and personal to them as they possibly could get. Windows were open on buildings and people were on fire escapes, on top of buildings, any place they could be to get a better view of the motorcade.
The president's car is now turning onto Elm Street, and it will be only a matter of minutes before he arrives at the Trade Mart. I was on Simmons Freeway earlier, and even the freeway was jam-packed with spectators waiting their chance to see the president as he...
President Kennedy went to Texas to take his program to the people. He had carried the state by only a narrow margin in the 1960 election. There was dissension there over his strong civil rights program. Ultra-conservative elements were critical, bitterly so, of the administration's foreign policy. And yet, the crowds that greeted the president and Mrs. Kennedy were friendly.
You felt just like he was a member of your family when you met him. In fact, it was a little difficult to really realize that he was a president because he was so down on the same level with you. I mean, you felt a closeness to him.
More than 3 years, I've spoken about the new frontier. This is not a partisan term, and it's not the exclusive property of Republicans or Democrats. It refers instead to this nation's place in history, to the fact that we do stand on the edge of a great new era, filled with both crisis and opportunity, an era to be characterized by achievement and by challenge.
Thursday afternoon, the presidential plane, Air Force One, departs San Antonio and touches down at Houston. Mrs. Kennedy is making one of her first public appearances in several months. Traveling with the presidential party are Vice President and Mrs. Johnson and Texas Governor John Connally.
I can remember waiting, and I can remember watching the people and getting tired, and I probably whined a little bit.
People saying, they're coming, they're coming. And the motorcade, it just seemed like a lot of motorcycles, a lot of cars.
In Texas and the nation, change has been the law of life. Growth has meant new opportunities for this state. Progress has meant new achievements. And we dare not look back now.
The presidential party moves on to Fort Worth, where the chief executive will spend the night and deliver several early morning speeches. A unique lighting display normally seen on only 2 holidays a year, Fort Worth tribute to the president.
The president's remarks to a group in a parking lot opposite the Texas Hotel in Fort Worth, Texas, November 22nd, 1963.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are no faint hearts in Fort Worth, and I appreciate your being here this morning. Mrs. Kennedy is organizing herself. It takes longer, but of course she looks better than we do when she does it. But we appreciate your welcome.
Thus begins the last day of his life. He will live less than 4 hours from this moment. The Vice President and Texas Governor John Connally applaud President Kennedy's entrance as he returns to his hotel for a breakfast with the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce. The breakfast party awaits the arrival of Mrs. Kennedy. Mrs. Kennedy's entrance draws another comment from the president.
2 years ago, I said that, introduced myself in Paris by saying that I was the man who had accompanied Mrs. Kennedy to Paris. I'm getting that same sensation as I travel around Texas. Nobody wonders what Lyndon and I wear. This is a very dangerous and uncertain world. We would like to live as we once lived, but history will not permit it. Balance of power is still on the side of freedom. We are still the keystone in the arch of freedom, and I think we'll continue to do as we have done in our past, our duty. I'm confident, as I look to the future, that our chances for security, our chances for peace, are better than they've been in the past. And the reason is because we're stronger. And with that strength is a determination to not only maintain the peace, but also the vital interests of the United States.
The presidential jet leaves Fort Worth for the short flight to Dallas, where the president has a scheduled luncheon address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bob Walker speaking from Dallas Love Field. This is the control tower at Dallas Love Field, where a large crowd is gathered now to await the arrival of President and Mrs. John Fitzgerald Kennedy from Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth. Circling the field all morning long from the early morning hours, and a huge contingent of police are on hand.
Friday morning, 11:37. The president's jet lands at the Dallas airport, Love Field.
It was in the newspapers. Yeah, I thought it'd be really neat for Dallas to have a president visit. So we had the television on, and we knew when they had left Fort Worth, and then we knew when they'd landed at Love Field. And by then it was getting clearer and more sunny.
There's Mrs. Kennedy, and the crowd yells, "And the President of the United States." And I can see his suntan all the way from here. Shaking hands now with the Dallas people, Governor and Mrs. Conley. Governor Conley on your left.
He shook hands with us when he got off the airplane and said, "You're doing a good job." I thanked him. I would have voted for him in that. Come on.
Crowds forming around the President and First Lady. Mrs. Kennedy stepping in the car first. Now the President. They both in the back seat now. Now the motorcade will very shortly start to move out.
In 1963, I was an 8th grade student at Franklin D. Roosevelt High School. When we heard the President was coming to Dallas, we decided to skip school, skip some classes.
Secret Service men, the car behind. Then comes the Vice President and Mrs. Johnson, Senator Yarborough. Now people over in this area are getting a chance to see the President. Head out for downtown Dallas, where thousands should already be on the street right now, waiting for a view of the President and his wife.
And she had on that beautiful pink suit, and she was looking and waving, and then they moved on through downtown.
And I still can't get over the fact that the President and his wife broke away from the planned trek to the automobiles and went all along this fence out here, right up to the fence, shaking hands and talking with these hundreds of people gathered inside that fenced-off area. It was a great thrill to them and a complete surprise. Thousands will be on hand for that motorcade now, which will be downtown Dallas, down Cedar Springs, to Harwood, and on Harwood it'll turn on Main, from which point it'll go all the way down to the courthouse area, which is the end of Main. It'll turn on Houston Street to Elm under the triple underpass, out to the Mart where the President talks at approximately 1 o'clock.
Friday, 10 minutes before noon. The motorcade begins the 11-mile ride to the Dallas Trade Mart, where the President is to deliver a major address. Governor and Mrs. Conley ride in the presidential limousine.
The reason for the trip was maximum visibility and maximum exposure for President and Mrs. Kennedy, because they wanted as many people to be up close and personal to him as they possibly could get. And so that was the purpose of the trip. That meant open cars no matter where we went. They asked, the agents were instructed to back off as much as possible. There were times when I got up very, very close, but it was because of the situation that developed.
We knew what the parade route was going to be. So we got downtown and the crowd was just massive. There were lots and lots of people and it was very crowded.
And the map of the route was published in the paper, so people could go stand on a corner and see a president come by.
We couldn't get up to where we were supposed to ride because there was so much people. But I know one thing, you don't get in between the president's car and the Secret Service. You just don't do it.
Under normal circumstances, we tried to stay as far away as we could to make them feel like that they were just among their friends and people along the side of the street, and wanted the people inside the street to feel like there was no barrier between them and the President and Mrs. Kennedy. I was in the immediate car behind them, the follow-up car, which we ran between about 3 to 5 feet between the two cars at all times, no matter what the speed. I was on the left-hand side of the running board of that car. That was also an open car. There were 8 agents in that car and 2 members of President Kennedy's staff.
The President's car is now turning onto Elm Street, and it will be only a matter of minutes before he arrives at the trademark. I was on Simmons Freeway earlier, and even the freeway was jam-packed with spectators waiting their chance to see the President as he made his way towards the trademark. It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route. There's numerous people running up the hill alongside Elm Street, there by the Simmons Freeway. Several police officers are rushing up the hill at this time. Stand by just a moment, please. Something has happened in the motorcade route. Stand by, please.
Well, I screamed at the driver to get to the hospital, but the agent in the right front seat, he told the driver to hit it, get out of there, because that was what we were supposed to evacuate the area.
When that bullet hit his head, a plume went up, and I was behind the car, and I went through that plume. It was all over me and all over my helmet and my glasses and everything. I seen everybody was converging on the school book depository. So I'm also, once we had the building surrounded.
This lady and I walked casually 1 block back to our office. Went back in the building, the TV was still on, and Walter Cronkite said,
3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas.
I looked around the room and said, that's the worst joke I have ever heard. We just saw him.
And we were running above 70 miles an hour as we traveled down the Simmons Freeway. And I was lying up on back of the back seat.
Parkland Hospital, there has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound. I repeat, a shooting in the motorcade in the downtown area. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound.
First reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
The President's car is now going past me. The limousine is now traveling at a very high rate of speed. Secret Service men standing up in the limousine. They are armed with submachine guns. It appears as though someone in the limousine might have been hit by the gunfire.
This hour, as you can see, there are small clusters of people gathered around small transistor radios trying to find out what is the latest regarding the reported shooting of the president.
Put me on, Phil. Put me on. Phil, am I on? We're here at the trademark. The motorcade is coming by here. I can see many motorcycles coming by now, police motorcycles. Just heard a call on the radio for all units along Industrial to pick up the motorcade. Something has happened here. We understand there has been a shooting.
According to the information that we have at this hour, the attempted assassination took place at Elm and Houston Street as the president's party was preparing to go under the triple overpass and come out here to the Trade Mart.
That just couldn't be true. They've given him the wrong story. It's not so. I called my mother because she listened to the radio news all the time. And she said, yes, that's what she had heard, and that they were en route to Parkland Hospital at that time.
The presidential car coming up now. We know it's the presidential car. You can see Mrs. Kennedy's pink suit. There's a Secret Service man, spread eagle, over the top of the car. We understand Governor and Mrs. Connolly are in the car with President and Mrs. Kennedy. We can't see who has been hit, if anybody's been hit, but apparently something is wrong here. Something is terribly wrong. I'm in behind the motorcade, trying to follow them. It looks as though they're going to Parkland Hospital.
At this time, the announcement has not been made to the several thousand who are here in the Trade Mart as to what has happened. Details are still sketchy. The only thing that we have at this time is the report that the president is at Parkland Hospital, that Governor John Connolly was also wounded, and that a Secret Service agent was killed. According to the best reports that we have at this time, there were only 3 shots fired, and apparently all of them struck true.
I'm not sure if it's city council or the mayor or who, but they issued requests that all the companies close in downtown, send their employees home as soon as possible.
We're on the road to Parkland at this time. The Secret Service man is still spread eagle over whoever is in the car, the President and Mrs. Kennedy, and as we understand, Governor and Mrs. Connolly. At this point, it looks as though it could have been 1 or 2 or even all of the people within the car may have been the victims, may have been struck by shots. We don't know.
We knew something had happened. The emergency broadcast tone came on, and he asked everybody to be quiet, and he turned up the radio that was on the bus, and there was an announcement that the president had been shot.
Parkland Hospital in the distance. Now on Harry Hines Boulevard, following behind the motorcade. Many police officers, maybe 20 or 25 motorcycle policemen, falling in behind at the Trade Mart. A huge crowd left behind, waiting expectantly to see the president. The motorcade now perhaps 2 or 3 blocks ahead of me. They're approaching the entrance now to Parkland Hospital, traveling at a high rate of speed. Already police cars converging on Parkland from every angle, from every point. I'm pulling in now toward Parkland Hospital, coming to the approach. There's an officer waving me down. He's waving me around. There's a cordon. There's already a cordon of police officers running from their cars, from their vehicles here. The official party, as I can see it, pulling around toward the emergency room of Parkland Hospital. The policeman says, no, you cannot come in here. You cannot come in here. We'll let nobody else in. It was definitely the president's car. We could see the First Lady's pink suit. That's the only identification we could see, but we know it is the president's car. Another car directly behind the presidential car. There were also parties in that car. Another Secret Service man spread eagle over them. We don't know. Perhaps there was some hit in that car as well. We're not sure.
The shots apparently came from the 5th floor of the Texas Bookstore Depository building, possibly from an automatic weapon. Police were looking for a young white man dressed in a white shirt with Levi's, carrying a lever-action type rifle. One witness told reporters that he had seen the rifle disappearing from that window after the shots were fired.
In downtown Dallas, President Kennedy was shot today just as his motorcade left downtown Dallas. Mrs. Kennedy jumped up and grabbed Mr. Kennedy. She cried, "Oh no." The motorcade sped on. A photographer said he saw blood on the president's head. It was believed 2 shots were fired.
And just now we've received reports here at Parkland that Governor Connolly was shot in the upper left chest, and the first unconfirmed reports say the president was hit in the head. That's an unconfirmed report that the president was hit in the head. After the shots were fired, he happened to look up at about the 5th or 6th
been given a blood transfusion at Parkland Hospital here in Dallas in an effort to save his life in downtown Dallas. A priest has been ordered, emergency supplies of blood also being rushed.
The President of the United States is dead. I have just talked to Father Oscar Hubert of the Holy Trinity Catholic Church. He and another priest tell me that the pair of men have just administered the last rites of the Catholic Church to President Kennedy. President Kennedy has been assassinated. It's official now. The president is dead. Women here in shock, some have fainted, and Secret Service men standing by the emergency room, tears streaming down their face. There's only one word to describe the picture here, and that's grief, and much of it. It's official. As of just a few moments ago, the President of the United States is dead.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
Jacket will fit tightly around the hips, keeping that straight and sleek look that it should have. And very often you'll find a zipper hidden in the arm.
You'll excuse me if I am out of breath. A bulletin. This is from the United Press from Dallas. President Kennedy and Governor John Connally have been cut down by assassins' bullets in downtown Dallas. They were riding in an open automobile when the shots were fired. The president, his limp body carried in the arms of his wife Jacqueline, has rushed to Parkland Hospital. Here's a piece of copy that was rushed to me and was torn off from the United Press in Dallas. President Kennedy has been shot in Dallas, Texas. He was shot as a motorcade left downtown Dallas.
At 1:33, a White House aide briefs newsmen.
John F. Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time today here in Dallas. He died of a gunshot wound in the brain. I have no other details regarding the assassination of the president.
Was Mrs. Kennedy hit?
Mrs. Kennedy was not hit.
Was Connally hit?
Governor Connally was hit.
I turned to my left. I was sitting in the jump seat. I turned to my left to look in the back seat. The president had slumped. He had said nothing. Almost simultaneously, as I turned, I was hit. And I knew I'd been hit badly. And I said, I knew the president had been hit, and I said, my God, they're going to kill us all.
The president was shot once. Where is Mrs. In the head. Mrs. Kennedy will be returning to Washington.
Was the president died?
Was he dead on arrival here?
No, he was not. No, he did not.
One suspect has been apprehended, according to Dallas police, a young man who denies anything to do with the shooting.
The suspect had entered the Texas Theater some 5 blocks away.
If we can, we will try to clear up this arrest which is taking place in Dallas.
As Officer McDonald approached a suspect sitting on the 3rd row from the back of the theater, the suspect jumped up, yelled, "This is it," and took a swing at the officer.
And some extra news which has come in since we started. A 24-year-old man, Lee H. Oswald, was arrested by Dallas police in connection with the murder of the policeman. He was taken screaming from a cinema. Police are questioning him to find out whether he's any connection with the murder of the president.
Officer McDonald started to grapple with the man as he reached for a gun which was concealed under his shirt, and the gun was fired one time by the suspect, but luckily it misfired. The pin hit the shell, but it did not fire.
A pistol was taken from Oswald after a scuffle. The police said Oswald told them, "Well, it's all over now."
Sir?
You shoot the president?
I work in that building.
Were you in the building at the time?
Naturally, if I work in that building, yes, sir.
Back up, man. Did you shoot the president?
No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I lived in the Soviet Union. I'm just a patsy.
The president?
We're going.
Mr. Kennedy's body is to lie in state tomorrow at the White House. The President's body is due in Washington at 11 o'clock GMT tonight. It'll be taken first to the Bethesda Naval Hospital. President Kennedy's 2 children, Carolyn, age 5, and John, nearly 3, have so far not been told of their father's death, the White House spokesman said tonight. He said the children were at the White House in the care of their nurse.
President Kennedy's body is to be placed aboard Air Force One for the flight back to Washington.
And the president's body, with the police motorcycle escort, is now pulling away from the hospital.
There we were, three of us with the casket in the back of the hearse, all the way to Love Field.
It is about 1.5 hours since he was shot.
And we got to Love Field. They all carried the casket up the stairs to the rear door of Air Force One. We had to tear the handles off in order to get into Air Force One. The chief engineers for the Air Force One had all the seats removed in a certain portion of the back of the aircraft. Vice President and Mrs. Johnson were also on board, and he had been conferring with Washington and had received instructions that he should be sworn in while we were still on the ground in Dallas.
At 2:38 in the forward cabin of Air Force One, a necessary ceremony.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. And will to the best of my ability. Preserve. Protect. Defend. The Constitution of the United States.
Air Force One, this is the Air Force Command Post. If possible, request the names of the passengers on board, please. We have 40 plus. Go ahead. 40 people, is that affirmative? It is affirmative. Can you tell me in regard to 1 and 2, or the top people? Roger. The President is on board. The body is on board. And Mrs. Kennedy is on board. All right, can you affirm once again your takeoff time and your estimated time of arrival, Andrews? 2047, takeoff time, Andrews 2305.
A capital still paralyzed by shock. Sad tasks are ahead. It is arranged that the president's body will first lie in repose at the White House. Then it will be moved to the rotunda of the Capitol for public homage.
What you see is a special truck that has been moved up to the rear of the presidential jet. A special truck on which the coffin will be brought out.
The casket is Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy. To her right is her brother-in-law, the Attorney General, Robert Kennedy. They are helping her down out of that carrier that has just brought down the casket.
So, events which started swiftly, completely unexpectedly and shockingly in Dallas only a matter of about 5 hours ago have gone virtually full circle. The president and the late president are, in a sense, back home.
This is a sad time for all people. We have suffered a loss that cannot be weighed. For me, it is a deep personal tragedy. I know that the world shares the sorrow that Mrs. Kennedy and her family bear.
Well, messages from everybody in the world, from people all over the world, are pouring into Washington. Here are some of them.
Well, it took my breath away at first. Actually, I couldn't figure out why anybody would want to do such a thing to a bloke in his position. Actually, it just took all the wind out of me. I felt absolutely deflated about it.
As a man of God, I would say that I felt the impact of the sniper's bullet. I would also say that I felt the pain that the president had in his dying moments.
I was quite shocked because actually I'm not from England, I'm from Australia. And generally he was very well liked there and he had great support everywhere. I was very shocked. I still can't believe it that he's not there anymore.
I think the person who ever shot him must have been a nutcase. There's no other word for him. I think it's terrible what happened.
The assassins and the would-be assassins of American presidents are an ill-assorted collection of men. It could be said that their shadow has hung over the presidency ever since George Washington took the first oath of office in 1789.
I was shocked and almost beyond belief. I was at work when I first heard of it in Richmond, and knew somebody came into the office and mentioned something about it. it's still too much to believe. I'm very saddened by the horrible thing that happened.
I will do my best. That is all I can do. I ask for your help and God.
Shortly before the dawn of Saturday morning, John Fitzgerald Kennedy comes home to the White House. He had been the nation's 35th president for a period of 2 years and 10 months.
There was a deeply human quality about the scene out here in Lafayette Park today. While across the street, President Lyndon Johnson and other high officials of the government have been going into the White House to see the body of the late President Kennedy lying in repose. Out here in the park, despite a gray, bleak day, despite the driving rain, people have been standing all morning, huddled under umbrellas, just standing and watching.
I think that everybody has their own reactions to this terrible thing that happened to President Kennedy, but I think that this weather, this downpour, sums it up for everybody. I just think it's terrible.
Thank you. What is your name, please?
Dolores Bierschbeck.
And you're from where?
Washington.
And what are your reactions today?
I still don't really know what to think. I don't think I've ever felt so depressed about anything. I guess all everybody can do is just pray that everything works out okay. Our government is led in the right hands, and that's all.
To Dallas, Texas, and Tom Pettit.
There is the president.
There is Lee Oswald. He's been shot. He's been shot. Lee Oswald has been shot.
We have recalled the agony of November the 22nd, 1963. We have not tried to ask why, because we do not believe there is an answer to that question. We have most humbly tried to build up a memory which can survive.
There's the man with a gun. It's absolute panic here in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters. The detectives have their guns drawn. Oswald has been shot. There is no question about it. Oswald has been shot. Pandemonium has broken loose here in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters. Now, whether the bullet literally hit Oswald or not, we are not absolutely positive, but there has been a gunshot. Oswald reached for his stomach, doubled up. It'll be impossible to determine whether he was hit or not.
The sound of the muffled drum sweeps in melancholy waves over the hushed throng, a hush broken only by a stifled sob, a murmured prayer. A whole people is lifted up in common sorrow and ennobled in their hearts. Down this avenue of sadness, they bring President John F. Kennedy, martyred hero, to lie in state under the great dome of the Capitol.
Did you see whether or not he was hit? He was hit, wasn't he?
He grabbed himself on the side and fell to the ground.
That was my
With a
understanding.
cry.
We were, what, 4 feet away
I was
from
5
him?
feet in front of him when they shot.
What is your name?
Frank Johnson.
And you're with?
UPI.
He did grab his stomach. I saw him
Yes,
grab
he did.
his stomach.
Right from the side.
Lee Oswald obviously has been shot. The witnesses around us here seem to confirm that. It happened so fast and with such suddenness that you can understand it is virtually impossible to determine the direction from which the bullet came, although police obviously in a rather excited state are attempting to determine where the shot came from.
Mrs. Kennedy begins the long hours of her public grief with the courageous dignity that has marked each moment of her ordeal. Caroline and John seem to mirror their mother's poise. With President Johnson and Robert Kennedy, she is in the van of the mourners who will pay their respects in the historic rotunda of the Capitol.
Members of the Kennedy family, and my fellow Americans. There are few events in our national life that so unite Americans and so touch the hearts of all of us as the passing of a President of the United States.
Well, I think that we all, more than with any other president, I think the people of the United States have identified themselves with the Kennedy family, and I think the grief that we all feel at this event, this tragedy, is much more real and much more personal than if it would have happened to other presidents.
It doesn't seem possible. It seems to be such a waste and such a tragedy. It's just not, it doesn't seem possible.
There is nothing that adds shock to our sadness more than the assassination of our leader, chosen as he is to embody the ideals of our people, the faith we have in our institutions, and our belief in the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. Such misfortunes have befallen the nation on other occasions, but never more shockingly than 2 days ago.
He said, well, if anyone's ever going to shoot me, this would be the day they should do it.
Oh, really?
He said, we'll never talk this. You know, those things come back now.
You went to the airport today.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yes.
John, what happened to your father?
So, he's gone to heaven.
He's gone to heaven.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
Yeah.
What do you remember?
I don't remember anything.
We in this country, in this generation, are by destiny rather than choice the watchmen on the walls of world freedom. We ask, therefore, that we may be worthy of our power and responsibility, that we may exercise our strength with wisdom and restraint, and that we may achieve in our time and for all time the ancient vision of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. That must always be our goal, and the righteousness of our cause must always underlie our strength. For as was written long ago, except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain.